It was in the year 2013 when India last saw tow trucks and backhoes in the national capital. Why were they employed? To remove the large concrete blocks used as barricades to protect the American embassy in New Delhi. The barricades were used to prevent high-speed cars from approaching the building. Yes, you have guessed it right. It's the host nation's responsibility to provide security to foreign missions on its soil. The Indian government then revoked all airport passes issued to US diplomats and their families. The action was taken following the arrest of Devyani Khobragade, India's Deputy Consul General, on charges of visa fraud. She was accused of underpaying and exploiting housekeepers. She was stripped searched following her arrest. The foreign minister had also summoned the US ambassador over the issue. Late BJP leader Arun Jaitley had then said, I quote, "The United States unilateralism is narrowing down the scope of diplomatic immunity should not be accepted by India." Why had it become such an issue back then? It's because there is a convention in place known as Vienna Convention, which protects diplomats against criminal actions in countries where they are assigned. Well, once again, India has removed the extra security cover, this time from the UK's embassy. But why? Let's find it out. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Savita Mishra and this is TFI Post. Yesterday, barricades placed outside the UK High Commission at Shanti Path in Chanakyapuri diplomatic enclave, which guarded the mission from vehicular movement, were removed. Not only at the embassy, but the extra security cover granted to the British High Commissioner Alex Ellis's residence at Rajaji Marg in New Delhi was also removed. Barricades, sandbags, cement bags or PCR all were removed. As I told you, the responsibility for the security of the UK's mission as well as embassy members rests on the shoulders of the Indian establishment. So will the UK embassy be without security? No. The security personnel posted at the mission as well as the envoy's residence will continue to guard the premises. So why has it all been done? And further, why are we talking about it? Because providing extra security cover to any foreign mission is a result of the Indian government's goodwill. They are not obligated to do so, and withdrawing the same points sends a deeper message. Perhaps no goodwill from now on. In diplomacy, goodwill goes a long way, but it's a two-way process. In this case, it seems that the United Kingdom is hell-bent on losing it. India has withdrawn the extra high security cover from the British mission. This comes in the wake of violent protests that took place outside the Indian High Commissions in London over the weekend. Khalistani separatists had gathered in front of the Indian embassy in London and attempts had been made to tear down the Indian tricolour. They would have been succeeded, but an Indian officer posted at the commission intervened. All this happened and the UK police and security agencies were probably down in their slumber. Through its decision, India has sent a strong message to the UK as well as the entire West that there would be consequences if India's interests were harmed on your soil. This was India's way of saying that it had enough of West's hypocrisy and that its patience was running out. Many call it India's tit-for-tat move for the United Kingdom to understand that sympathizing with Khalistanis on one side and approaching India on the other side for the free trade agreement won't work. This is not all. Just after the incident was reported from London, India on Sunday night summoned the British Deputy High Commissioner and demanded an explanation over the complete absence of security. In a strongly worded statement, the Foreign Ministry also said that India finds unacceptable the indifferences of the UK government to the security of Indian diplomatic premises and personals in the UK. Also, the Indian community organized a protest in front of the Indian High Commission in London against the disrespectful act of Khalistani supporters and demanded the Mayor of the London, Sadiq Khan, and the British government act against separatist Khalistani supporters who pulled down the Indian flag flying atop the commission. What followed India's decision of security withdrawal was a security ramp-up at the Indian High Commission in London this afternoon. What was seen? A large number of London Metropolitan Police personnel were deployed outside the Indian mission. Police personnel mounted on horses were also seen patrolling frequently in the area. The British administration also added barricades outside the commission 3 days after it was vandalized by protesters. The Indian High Commission in London saw violent protests over the weekend, which were followed by Khalistani sympathizers gathering in front of the embassy even yesterday. Though India has responded harshly for the first time, the Kalistan Movement has been resurrecting on foreign soil, especially the Canada, UK, US belt for quite some time now. In 2019, soon after the abrogation of Article 370, a mob of over 10,000 British Pakistanis attacked the Indian High Commission in London. For the last year, many Hindu temples have been vandalized by Khalistani sympathizers. In Lancaster last year, Hindu who had settled in the UK was selectively targeted by the Islamists on British soil. Referendums have been conducted, amplifying demands for a separate Khalistan state to be carved out of India. Why am I telling the tales of Islamists and Khalistanis together? Because across the West, especially in the UK and Canada, Khalistani sympathizers enjoy influence over major Sikh groups that operate in tandem with Islamist outfits pushed, promoted and patronized by the Islamists. So what are the saviors of democracy doing? Countries like the US and the UK have been happily ensuring safe refuge for these anti-India elements. Have you ever thought what would have happened if such vandalism had taken place on Indian soil? Those with patents for defending democracy would have attempted to intervene, followed by a hoarse UN cry. Everything has happened under the watch of the Indian origin Prime Minister in Britain, Rishi Sunak, and this has made the entire story even more interesting. We have said it again and again that having an Indian origin man as the Prime Minister of any third state is not going to serve India's interests. Sunak is currently on a slippery slope, with India surpassing its former colonizer to become the fifth largest economy in the world. This must not have gone down with the British deep state, thus creating problems for the Indian origin British Prime Minister. With India being fierce with its action, the upcoming days are not going to be easy for the Indian origin British Prime Minister. Be it reinstating Suella Braverman, who had made some objectionable comments on Indian immigrants to the UK by Rishi Sunak, or remaining mum on the Khalistan issue, the diplomatic journey ahead between the UK and India doesn't seem to be smooth.